In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Maplewood beanie. This beanie is available in 6 different sizes from baby right through to adult large. This pattern is available on my blog for free, and it's also available as an ad-free PDF. I will leave all the links in the description box below so that you can go and check those out, because this video is designed to go alongside the written pattern. For this project, I have used Yarnsmith's Pebble Haze DK. This is a cotton and acrylic blend, and this particular yarn comes in 50-gram balls, but you can substitute with another DK weight yarn. You would just need to check the pattern for the gauge. We are going to be using a 4mm hook throughout the whole of the pattern, but again, you might want to adapt that depending on your yarn and your gauge. You'll need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends, and you will also need a pom-pom as well. So again, I will leave everything in the description box below, so make sure that you go and check that out. Grab everything you need and let's get started. So we're going to begin by creating the brim of the hat. You want to start off by creating your slip knot, and you can do this in whichever method you prefer. Go ahead and insert your hook. We are using the 4mm for this, and depending on the size that you're doing will depend on how many you're going to chain first of all. So for the baby size, you'll do 19, the toddler 21, the child 22, the tween 23, the adult 25, and the adult large 26. So I'm going to be doing the baby size for this tutorial. So I'm going to chain 19, that's yarn over and pull through. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead, pause the video, work until you have the chain size that you need, and meet me back once you're ready. Once you have your initial chain, we're going to work our way back along this chain using a half treble crochet, which is a half double crochet in US terms. So we're going to be working into the second chain from the hook, so not the one that's on the hook. We have 1 and 2. We're going to go ahead and yarn over and go into that second chain from the hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, you'll have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and that is our first stitch. The missed chains do not count as a stitch. So we have 1, 2, and 3. You're going to pause the video. You're going to work 1 stitch into each chain all the way across. I'm going to end up with 18 stitches, so you will have 1 less than what your original chain count was. Pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. I've now completed row 1. I'm going to turn the work ready for row 2. So row 2 is going to be what we're going to be repeating for the whole of the brim. Please do refer to the pattern to see how many rows you need to do for the size that you're doing. But for row 2, which we're going to repeat over, we're going to start off by chaining 1, which does not count as a stitch. And then we're going to do a back loop only half treble, which is a back loop only half double in US terms. So usually we work into the whole stitch like this, but we're just going to work into that back loop only instead. So we're going to yarn over, go into that back loop only, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You can mark that stitch as your first stitch, and then you can go ahead and do a back loop only treble crochet, which is a back loop only double crochet in each stitch all the way along. You'll have the same number of stitches as your last row, and your rows are going to consist of the same number of stitches for the entirety of the brim. So you want to make sure that you're working that all the way across. Pause the video, work your way to the end, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just finished row 2, and you can see when you do these rows that you're going to get a ridge from one row to the other. So you're going to pause the video now and work your brim all the way across. So this is the brim of my hat that I have done already, and the amount of rows that I need for the baby size, which is 44. And you can see clearly here where these rows come forwards and backwards. So the way that I have this laying in front of me now, we have the first row sitting backwards and then the second row sitting forwards. So as you are counting, it's easy to count the one sitting forward. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, for example, all the way across. So you're going to work your band, the brim of your hat, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've worked the band, we're going to go ahead and fold the short ends together. We're going to chain 1, and then you want to make sure that you have the final row facing towards you. We'll go into slip stitch in the back loop only of each stitch of the final row and the corresponding stitch in the first row. So that will be the underside of the foundation chain. So we're going to go into the back loop only of that stitch and then into the underside of the chain of the foundation chain, yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. Into the back loop only of the next stitch and then the corresponding chain and pull through. Into the next stitch, into the underside of the foundation chain and pull through. And you're going to do this all the way across. Take your time with it so you don't miss any stitches. Pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way across with your slip stitch, you're going to fold your work so that the seam is on the inside of the band. And now we're going to be working in rounds. So we're going to be building the main hat section and we're going to be working down the row ends that we've just created. So we're going to chain 1 to begin, and then we want to locate those first 2 rows of your stitches. So we're going to be working across 2 rows at a time, and we're going to be working 3 half treble crochets across these rows. So what I like to do is do 1 into this row here and then locate the middle bit just here and go into there and then work the other side. And then you'll go across again into here, into here, into here. Let me just show you what I mean. So as I say, we're going to be working a half treble, which is a US half double crochet. So just concentrating on these first 2 row ends here, I'm going to go into this space with a half treble and then go into the center of them and then go the other side, like so. That's how I like to work my 3 half trebles across. You may want to pop a stitch marker in that very first stitch so that you know where you have started, and then you find the next 2 stitches. So we'll go before that center and then into that center and then after. And then again, 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead, pause the video, work that all the way round for that first round of the main hat section. Please make sure that you are checking the number of stitches that you have and refer to the pattern for that information. And then I will finish with my last 3 stitches here and then I'll meet you back to finish off this round. So I've just worked my way all the way around. I'm going to join with a slip stitch into that first stitch and pull through. And then we're going to move on to round 2. We're going to chain 1, which again does not count as a stitch. And we're going to do a half treble into this very first stitch where the base of the chain 1 is, which is a half double crochet in the US. So go into that stitch. And then we have a pattern repeat that we're going to repeat all the way around. We're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and then half treble, which is US half double, into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, half treble, chain 1, skip a stitch, half treble. So we're going to do that all the way around until you have 1 stitch remaining, so you'll finish on your half treble just here. Work your way around and then meet me back once you're ready and I'll show you how to continue. So once you've worked your way around, you should have that 1 stitch remaining. We're going to chain 1, skip that stitch and then join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch. We're now ready to move on to round 3, which is going to be the feather round. And we're going to repeat this round over and over again. But once we've done this round, we're actually going to start turning our work. So what we want to do is we want to begin by working a beginning feather stitch, which means we're looking for that first chain space, which is just here. So for this, we're not going to chain 1, we're just going to yarn over and insert our hook into that first chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop and lift it up slightly to the height of your chain. Yarn over, we're now going to find the missed stitch from below and insert our hook, yarn over and then again pull up that loop to the height of your stitch. And then we're going to yarn over and go into that next chain 1 space and yarn over and pull up a loop. So we now have 7 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, turn our hook down and pull through all 7 loops on that hook. We've created our beginning feather stitch and we're going to chain 1 before we move on to the next stitch. We now have a pattern repeat. We're going to do a feather stitch, chain 1 all the way around. So this first feather stitch is going to start in the same space as the last feather stitch finish. So we have our legs of our feather here. We have 1, 2 and 3. And we're going to go into this first stitch here. So into the chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop, into the chain 1 from 2 rows below, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then into the next chain 1 space, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops and then chain 1, and then we're going to do that again. So yarn over into the same stitch that we finished in last time, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over into the skip stitch from 2 rows below, pull up that loop to elongate that stitch, then yarn over into the next chain space and yarn over, pull through all of the loops on the hook and chain 1. So you're going to do that all the way around. I'll just show you once more. We're going to start into the end. We're going to start where the last one finished, into that stitch, pull up a loop, into the stitch 2 rows down, pull up a loop, make sure you do elongate that one, and then into the next chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook and chain 1. So you're going to do that all the way round until you finish on this last chain space. So do the last feather stitch into there, and then I'll show you how we're going to do this final feather stitch. So pause the video, rewind if you need to get the instructions for the feather stitch, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just worked my way around. I have the first stitch of the round here, and then I've just finished this feather stitch just here, which means that we have this gap. So I'm just going to show you how we're going to do this final stitch, just because it is worked slightly differently in the fact that we're going to utilize this first stitch. So we're going to yarn over and work as normal into that first chain space, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the missed stitch from 2 rows below, yarn over and pull up a loop, and instead of going into the next chain space, obviously it's not there, or it is there, it's just been used up already by this first feather stitch. We're going to locate the first leg of that feather stitch and work into that same stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops on the hook and chain 1. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. So as we look at the feather stitch, we have an elongated stitch which belongs to this feather stitch. This here is the chain 1, so our first stitch is actually just before the feather stitch, like so. So we're going to insert our hook and then we're going to slip stitch. Now, as I mentioned, we're now going to turn our work because we want our feathers to work back the other way. So we're going to turn our work. And I like to turn so that the yarn stays at the back and doesn't twist around to the front, like so. And then what we want to do is we want to locate where those first feather stitches are. So this is actually going to sit slightly below where our first feather stitch is. So if you're unsure, you can look from the front. For example, we have our first one here, and that is the first space, and then we have the second one here, that is the second space. So we're going to yarn over, go into that first space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then we're going to go into the space below, yarn over into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we find the next space, yarn over into that chain space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, chain 1. You can mark that stitch if you wish, and then we're just going to find those spaces all the way around. It's a little bit easier to find on these next stitches. So pull up a loop, yarn over, down into that next space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, over into that next space. So this is how you're working your feather stitches all the way around. So you're going to be repeating this round for the amount of rounds it says for your pattern. So for me, this is round 3 to 13. And remember, round 3 is your first feather round. So we have our first 2 rounds, which is our setup rounds, and then we have 1 and then 2. So you're going to be repeating rounds 3 to 13 for the baby, to round 15 for the child, 17 for the toddler, 18 for the tween, 20 for the adult, and 22 for the adult large. And when you finish off this round, it's going to be exactly the same in terms of getting your last feather stitch in. I'm going to work this all the way round into this last space. I'll show you once more how we're going to join, because it does look a tiny bit different from before. So pause the video, either carry on or meet me back once you're ready for instructions on ending this round. So I've now worked my way around, and I'm going to do my last feather stitch in these spaces and then into the very first feather stitch. So just work as normal and then find the first leg of that feather stitch. You can always look from the front if you are unsure of where you're going, but insert into there, finish your feather stitch, chain 1, and then join with a slip stitch to that very first stitch, like so. You're going to turn your work, and then again you're going to find those first 2 stitches. Now what you'll find is when you're creating your feather stitches, they stack on top of each other. So if you just pull them apart slightly, you can actually find those first 2 spaces just here. So we go into that first space, into the space below, and then into the next space, and it just makes it easier to find where your very first stitch is going to go. So go ahead, pause the video. You want to work that feather section and the amount of rows that you need for your size, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just completed my 13th round. I'm going to turn my work, and for me this is round 14. You might be on round 16, 18, 19, 21 or 23. We're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. We're going to work a half treble crochet, which is a US half double crochet, and we're going to start in this very first space just here, which is a chain 1 space. So just being mindful that the last stitch we're going to work is going to be into this feather stitch here. So we've got that chain 1 space, and the feather stitch is just a little bit smaller just next to here. We'll work into there with that half treble, which is a US half double, into the chain 1 space, into the feather stitch, chain 1 space, feather stitch, and you want to do that all the way round. I'll leave on the screen how many stitches you should have in this round. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way to that last feather stitch, and then meet me back once you're ready. Once you've worked all the way round and finished in that last feather stitch, you're going to join with a slip stitch, and then turn the work, chain 1, and then we move on to the next round. I'll leave the rounds here on the screen of where we're up to, and you can see which size you're up to, but for me I'm on round 14. I've chained one already, and then we're going to do a pattern repeat. So we're going to do a half treble into the next 4 stitches, the first one being at the base of this chain 1. So obviously that's a half double crochet in US terms. So we have 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to do a half treble 2 together, which is a half double 2 together in US terms. So we're going to yarn over, go into that next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on the hook, and then we'll start that pattern repeat again. So those 4 half trebles, US half doubles, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to work those 2 stitches together for a decrease. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 3 loops, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. So you're going to work that pattern repeat all the way round until you've done your last half treble 2 together, which is half double 2 together, and then meet me back once you're ready. Now that you've worked your way round, you're going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch, turn the work, and then you're going to go ahead and chain 1. So the pattern repeat for this round is going to be 3 half trebles, which is US half doubles, 1, 2 and 3, and then a decrease. So half treble 2 together, which is US half double, as we've been doing. So again, it's 3 half trebles, 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way around. You'll finish on a decrease and meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way around, you're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch. Now, because I am doing the baby size, I'm now going to fasten off, leaving a long tail end. However, and you will do the same if you are doing the toddler and child, fastening off, leaving a long tail end to sew in, which I'll show you in just a moment. If you are doing the teen size, you're going to do 1 more round, but you will only have 2 stitches before your decrease. And if you're doing the adult or the adult large, you're going to do 2 more rounds. So your next round would be 2 stitches and a decrease, and then the round after that would be 1 stitch and a decrease. So go ahead, pause the video and finish up to whichever stage that you need. Meet me back and I'll show you how we're going to finish up this beanie. So once you've done all of your rounds, you're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail end for sewing. And we're going to thread up the darning needle. And we're going to weave this in and out the top of the stitches. So I'm going to I'll go into that first stitch actually, and then I'm going to go in and out every other stitch and just weave that through all the way round. And as you're going round, you can just give a little bit of a pull just to cinch it in. But you want to go ahead, pause the video, work that all the way round, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just worked my way around, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull on this tail end to pull the centre of the hat closed. Pull it as tight as I can, and then I'm going to use this darning needle to go through the opposite side, and then again just to secure it, and then you might want to go the other way as well. And you're going to leave this tail end on because we are going to add our pom-pom. Now you can get different pom-poms. You can get ones like this, which are good for pulling through and then usually used with a button. Or you can get ones with poppers. So if you've got a popper, you can attach the popper attachment to the top. Or if you have one like this, you can use a button and sew the button on the inside. Now, I only have large buttons here with me today, so I'm not going to do that because that is just too big, but I would like to use buttons ordinarily just so that you can take the pom-pom off when you're washing the hat, the beanie. So what I'm going to do instead is just poke my hook through and then pull that through like this. So that is there. And then I'm going to bring my tail end through as well so that I can attach this. Now, because this is not attached with a button, when it goes around a button it becomes more secure, but because I'm doing it like this, I am going to have to sew it into place a little bit more so that the beanie, the pom-pom isn't floppy. We don't want a floppy pom-pom. We want it to be nice and secured down. So I'm going to pull through this. If you are attaching a button, then you would just need to make sure that your darning needle goes through, and it's a bit easier to do because you're just going back to front just to secure that on, and then you can just pull through the end of the pom-pom. So you put the button on first and then pull through the pom-pom. So I'm just going to go ahead and fasten this off and sew in my ends. Fasten off and turn the right way out. You may want to use a hairdryer to blow out your pom-pom. It just helps it get a little bit more fluffy. Again, I don't have one here at the studio with me today. The other thing that I would suggest that you do, particularly for the small sizes, you do want to make sure you've also sewn in all of your other ends. You might just want to place a few stitches along the brim of the hat just to keep this from folding down, especially if it's going on babies. It just adds that extra level of safety. But here we have the Maplewood beanie. I really hope that you have enjoyed making this. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Tag me on social media if you have made these because I would absolutely love to see. And if you like this video, then you might also like this one too.